Good morning all. This is Geeta, Assistant Professor Senior Grade, Department of CSC from KPR Institute of Engineering and Technology, Coimbatore. Today we are going to discuss about load balancing techniques in cloud computing. What you understand from the picture, the person is moving with heavy loaded things, right? So even in the computer terminology also we have two different terms. One is overloaded and underloaded. Some of the server may handle many number of requests. In other hand, the same kind of server may handle only a very few requests at the same time. So this should not happen, right? The balance between load balance between the two server should be equal, so that the performance of the system and the speed of the application can be improved. So today we are going to discuss about load balancing and what are the techniques we have in cloud computing for balancing the load. So further we will see what is load balancing and the types of load balancing. Load balancing is the process. So in this particular process, what we are trying to achieve is we are going to distribute incoming traffic across multiple servers or as resources to improve the performance and reliability and the um, availability of the service. So when it is needed, when load balancing is needed, so it is very important for the application which often deal with a large and unpredictable number of service requests. So in that situation, the load balancing is very important. And once if we done a load balancing properly, then what we can achieve? So we can obviously we can achieve better average resource utilization rate, and also we can enhance the overall performance of the system in a better way. So these are the important need of load balancing. In further slide we will see the types. So how to achieve load balancing? For that we have load balancer. So the load balancer is going to take the responsibility to distribute the workload among multiple similar type of computing resources. The resources may be either a processors, or it may be a storage, memory, or some other network devices. So the load balance is going to taking care of distributing the workload among the similar type of computing resources. And the main objective of load balancing is to improve the resource utilization. The main and foremost objective for the load balancing is improvise the resource utilization and also to maximize the throughput. So and we have to minimize the response time for the application, right? So if the application take more time for the response, then definitely the customer will not like, right? So to reduce the response time, we need to concentrate balancing the load among the similar type of resources. Now you may have some doubt with the terms load balancing and scalability. Load balancing, as I already told, we are going to distribute the work among multiple same type of resources. But in case of scalability, which is going to refer to adding some resources to handle the extra burdened work. Say for example, if we are having a storage of 1 TB hard disk, to handle the extra workload, you can increase the hard disk size. Similarly, you can increase the RAM size. So these are some of the example for the scalability, right? So, but what is the use of load balancing? Why we are not preferring the scalability? Because it is very difficult to keep on increasing the resources on a single machine when compared to distributing the work among multiple same type of machine, right? So load balancing is better way to improve the performance of the machine when compared to the scalability. So scale up and scale down is possible only for the certain period of certain cases. So we cannot keep on increase the resources. So in that case, we have to prefer the load balancing technique. This slide indicates the importance of load balancing in cloud computing. The first important factor why we are considering load balancing in the cloud computing is to achieve the consistency. The second factor is reliability. So reliable computing system must operate efficiently under varying load balance conditions, right? So reliability can be achieved with the help of load balancing. And load balancer will act as a layer of abstraction over the computing resources in a distributed environment. So these are the some of the important need of load balancing in the cloud computing. And also it can create the impression of multiple resources appearing as a single one, and it is going to decouple the application running on it from internal implementation. So for the user it is going to be a single machine, but actually the application may depends on multiple machine for its operation. So with the load balancing, multiple resources work in a parallel to handle the workload. So this is going to minimize the chance of total system failure. So these are the some of the important factors why load balancing is very essential in the cloud computing environment. How we can achieve load balancing in cloud computing? There are variety of ways for achieving load balancing in the cloud computing environment. Now, it can be either hardware based or it can be a software based solution. But one common method is round robin technique. What we studied in the operating system, the same technique can be implemented in the cloud as well. So here the load balancer is going to distribute an incoming traffic across multiple servers or instance in a cloud environment. So round robin is the best method for balancing the load. So here we are illustrating the role of load balancer. So we have different type of virtual servers. The virtual servers are same type of server. Here we have three virtual servers, and suppose if the number of requests coming from client is more, say for example here we have six requests for the servers, right? So we have three server. For that three server we are going to split the request into split the request equally. So this distribution is taken care by the load balancer. So this diagram clearly illustrates that there is a load balancer between the server and the request from the client. The request will be redirected to the server via the load balancer. The load balancer is going to taking care of distributing the work incoming traffic to the cloud server. So this is the main role of the load balancer. So here I have listed the goals of load balancing. So the first and foremost goal is to improve the system performance and also to maximize the fault tolerance and also to accommodate scaling and also to ensure the availability of application in all the time. So with respect to the cloud computing, the availability of the application is very important. We should ensure that the cloud provider should ensure that the application is available for their customer for 365 days, 24 hours. So this is very important. So to ensure the availability, load balancing is an important factor. So there are two categories of load balancing. One is static approach and another one is dynamic approach. In the static approach, we are going to distribute the incoming traffic to the multiple server in a fixed and predefined manner. So this particular approach, static approach, is not going to consider the current state of the machine, and it is going to allocate load based on some predefined rules related to the nature of the input traffic. So this is about static approach. Here the diagram illustrate the n number of consumers are trying to access the server A and server B. With the help of load balancer, the n number of requests will be redirected to the server in a such way that there will be a predefined rule. Say for example, server A is going to handle 3 requests and server B is going to handle 3 requests. So it is not going to consider any of the current state of the machine. So this is known as a static approach. The other type of approach is dynamic approach. So in this dynamic load balancing, it is going to load balancing involves dynamically. So we are going to consider the current traffic of the machine. So this typically involves using auto scaling and load balancing algorithm, so that can dynamically adjust the distribution of the traffic across multiple servers or an instance. So in dynamic approach, feedback about current load status of servers will be taken into the account. Based on the feedback, the allocation will be done by the load balancer. So the dynamic approach is efficient one when compared to the static approach load balancing method, because in the static approach we are not taken any feedback about the current status of the machine. So but in the case of dynamic approach we are taking the current status of the with the help of feedback mechanism. Dynamic load balancing further divided into two different category. One is distributed way and non-distributed way. In the distributed way, we have two different categories. One is cooperative and non-cooperative. In non-distributed way, we have another two category. One is centralized and semi-distributed. So these things will be discussed in the next session. Thank you. Today we have discussed about load balancing and the importance of load balancing in the cloud computing. Further, we will discuss in the next slide.